AskReddit by Fuck and Frolic. What is far more rare than people realize? Tetanus, we get vaccines for it, but it's actually a bit harder to get than you may believe. That's good. But the disease itself is so horrible you don't want to give it any chance. Solid brown fur cats. Apparently it's some kind of recessive gene in them. Also, brown eyes. They are common in big cats but quite rare for domestic cats. People who remain friends with you once you leave school. I would expand this to actual friends opposed to just convenient people to socialize with. Blimps, I live in Northeast Ohio near the Goodyear hangar. We see them all the time. I had to pull up a list. That Northeast Ohio has 3 out of 4 operating Goodyear blimps named Wingfoot 1, 2 and 3. Only maybe 12 are operating anywhere in the world, with a total of 25 existing at all. But we see them all the time at Wingfoot Lake Disc Golf Course. Edit. Helium-filled semi-rigid airships. Okay, so I've got a rookie question. Let's say there's a need for one in Arizona for an event. Does the crew fly it there from Ohio, or do they deflate it, load it into a truck, and re-inflate it near the event? Green eyes make up just 2% of the global population. But like 40% of fictional characters, lol. Northern Lights. The amount of people I've heard say, "We've come all this way, what time do they come on?" is staggering. Growing up, I'd see light pillars in the sky sometimes. Until recently, I thought that they were the Northern Lights. Almost as rare and pretty neat. https://en.m.wikipedia.org/wiki/light_pillar. Bit of peace and fucking quiet. To the motherfucking men. Serial killers. I had a co-worker who interacted with 2 of them. He grew up in Anchorage and used to buy donuts from Robert Hanson's bakery fairly routinely. Said to this day that man made the best apple fritters he'd ever eaten, and he drove city bus and swore he ran into Israel Keys a couple times downtown. My dad is convinced he bumped shoulders with Israel Keys outside a bar one time. Said that was singularly the scariest person he'd ever seen. Nothing to in his eyes, nothing going on in his face. The percentage of people with eating disorders that are underweight, 5% of suffers. The comments are proving your point. Heroin. It's pretty much all fentanyl and xylazine at this point. Source: Am Addictions Counselor. Stay safe out there, kids. Do you mean pure heroin is rare, or are you saying most people are taking pure fent and xylaz thinking it's heroin? Both a disturbing thought. We have a male tortoiseshell cat. Cat people tend to know they're quite rare, but others probably don't. He really is a rarity in this world. Calicos are almost always females as well. I learned this in genetics class. Apparently male calicos and male torties are sterile because they have an extra chromosome. Edit. Correction about infertility. Male calicos can happen when a male cat has 2 X chromosomes, Klinefelter syndrome, with XX chromosomes, and generally they are sterile. Fertility. Humility and an understanding that we're sometimes the victim and sometimes the perpetrator. No one is ever just one or the other. We will always be the villain in someone else's story. Being a multimillionaire. Lots of people faking it out here. I worked at a hair salon that was full of them as clientele. It was so pathetic listening to these bored housewives constantly one-upping each other about what trips they were taking and with who. Then it would inevitably come out that they were living well beyond their means and file for bankruptcy. Deaths from nuclear power. Pollution from coal power kills more people every day than nuclear power has in its entire history. Helium. On Earth. It's weird because helium is the 2nd most abundant element in the universe. Critical thinking skills. Yes. And most people think that having this is to be able to criticize something. For example, well, that sounds stupid. 73% is not that much, so that the idea is just to be resistant to information. What it really is to be able to compare ideas objectively, based on best available information and data, which now and always will be incomplete, and make your assessments based on that. Clean water. My son and I have been discussing this lately. He is a chemical engineer and works exclusively with water. Many of the studies he has been published on also have to do with clean water and forever chemicals. Water is a huge issue that is becoming bigger every day and normal people are forgetting about it. Flint, Michigan is in year 9. Fellow team here. This is absolutely true. I went to college in the American West where water was a precious commodity. I now work in surface water quality compliance on the east coast of America and it baffles me how flippant we are in the east with water quality. An ungroped bottom at the BBC. A stable, loving, peaceful domestic life. To add to this, being raised in one as well. I have only recently started to realize how lucky I was to be raised mostly with my mom's family. They all genuinely love each other and get along. There's little arguments here and there, but nothing even so bad as typically sitcom stuff. Having a huge support structure just makes any challenges in life a little bit easier to weather. If I could share anything with the world, it would be how much it helps to just genuinely care for others and have them care for you. But, honest friends who don't have ulterior motives. The ones that genuinely enjoy your company and friendship. Hold on to them. I have spent so much of my life focusing on the not great ones. Once I had a realization of what a good friend is, I was dismayed to find how few I actually had. Now I am incredibly grateful to have those wonderful people in my life. People giving out drugs with Halloween candy. The only time this ever happened was when a father purposely put poison in his kid's candy. It wasn't a stranger. Absolute silence and being in a place where no man-made light exists. Toured a cave once where the guide had us all stand still and turned out all illumination in the cave. That's a darkness and silence you'll never forget. People in genuinely happy, healthy, well-adjusted relationships. A good upbringing. If you look at the stories of very successful individuals, most of it comes from the simple fact that they had good parental figures and role models. Imagine actually being prepared for adulthood. That shit's OP as fuck. Gold. All the gold I've mined in the world would fit in a cube less than 70 feet on each side. This didn't sound like much to me at first, but after a minute of thinking about it, that would be a huge fucking cube. Floor being lava. My goodness, was that a big concern of mine growing up. That and quicksand around every corner. Quicksand was a real concern and I feel lied to. Genuine kindness with no ulterior motive. That's really sad. I try my hardest to teach my kids to be good and kind without expecting things in return. 2 years in a row they've given up Christmas gifts in order to donate that money doing the angel trees. I feel like I'm doing something right. Twins. If we accept that every story on the Ataverse is true, then having twins is clearly the catalyst for some truly awful, antisocial behavior. There is a town in Brazil, Cândido Godoy, that has the highest rate of twins in the world. They are pretty ethnically homogeneous, of German descent. Nobody really knows why. Nor why they are so ethnically German, nor why there are so many twins. Some people say Mengele was there, as he was known to have been somewhere in the region. They say he had something to do with it. It's also known that the city was founded by a few people, so it could be a genetic bottleneck effect. Nearly half of them are monozygotic twins. Which is crazy cause we have an idea that fraternal twins can be genetic due to hyperovulation. Trippy stuff. Real friends. How many of us? True love. Wait, what did you say? You distinctly said, to blave. And as we all know, to blave means to bluff. Huh. So you were probably playing cards, and he cheated.